Appreciate it. Right, back for round three. So we've heard from two crypto businesses today already about their outlook for the industry, for regulation. Now let's get in touch with the regulators, with the government here. So I've got His Excellency Mohamed Shorafa, Chairman of the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development. So we can get a view here from how governments are thinking about the industry and how they might regulate it. So Mohamed, let's talk a bit about Abu Dhabi. Help us understand what you're doing to support the development of crypto and the blockchain industry as well.
Thank you for having me here today. And well, from Abu Dhabi's point of view and United Arab Emirates as well, me being as the chairman of the Security Commodity Authority as well, so we actually regulate the crypto assets across the United Arab Emirates, and at the same time we regulate the Abu Dhabi local crypto assets and cryptocurrencies. Well, Abu Dhabi have been a pioneer within the crypto industry and the regulatory framework. Obviously, Abu Dhabi Global Markets, which is the financial free zone in Abu Dhabi for the last 6 to 7 years, have developed, introduced, and consulted with a lot of crypto investors, crypto exchanges, to have the right framework and ecosystem for investors, for exchanges, and to attract more crypto development within the industry in Abu Dhabi.
So could you give us some specific examples about some of the things you've done to sort of support the industry?
Well, as you know, we've been working with a lot of exchanges so far. The crypto industry in general is divided into two areas: the cryptocurrencies and crypto assets. The cryptocurrencies in the United Arab Emirates is regulated through the central bank, and the crypto assets is regulated through the Security and Commodity Authority. The international free zones, financial free zones, they have their own regulatory framework. They have the common law, which is the UK law, and they have consultations with a lot of different industry experts and players within the market. So, for example, we've been working with Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, even with small investors and developers, so that we can have that ecosystem really working well for them, either from blockchain, from the custody side, from the technology side. So I think Abu Dhabi so far have attracted a lot of players, and this is a testament to what Abu Dhabi have introduced to the market in the Middle East and North African region.
So how are you thinking about regulation? Because, you know, we heard there Brett Harrison from FTX saying, well, we doesn't think it necessarily needs an overhaul of existing policy or a brand new framework, but perhaps some sort of additions to existing laws that are in place around already trading and other areas of the financial markets as well. So what's the approach from Abu Dhabi and UAE more broadly to regulation on that front?
Well, I would agree with him. The concept is similar, but I think you need to have the right regulatory framework, and for two simple reasons. First of all, it's a reputational risk. That's one. Two, you need to protect the investors and protect the exchanges and the companies that are developing those crypto assets and or tokenizations. So I think, yes, we need to have the regulatory framework proper. It's still long way to reach to where we need to be, because it is a very fast developing industry. But at the same time, it has to be stringent. It has to be clear and transparent, so that everybody gets the feeling of transparency and the interest, to give more interest within this industry.
When I speak to, you know, the exchanges and other businesses in the industry, you know, their biggest pain point about regulators globally is lack of clarity. They say we don't know what we can, what we can't do, what's a gray area, what's against the law. And so that's a huge pain point. As you speak to these businesses, what else are they saying about other things that they feel that the regulators haven't got right and that you're trying to fix?
Well, I think we look at it from the interest of the investors first. Any exchange needs investors. And for investors to continue investing within the currency or the asset, they need to have a proper framework. And this framework, if it is not clear, they will lose money. They won't be encouraged to invest more. But at the same time, it's important to have a clear ecosystem of all the players around you, from the regulatory, from the law, from the local law, from international, either from tokenizations. There's a lot of these that are still vague to a lot of regulators as well. But as far as we are concerned as Abu Dhabi, we feel we are on the right track. We feel we are consulting a lot of the private players as well. And we're consulting a lot of other regulators, because we want to have the best breed system and regulatory framework for everybody to shine in Abu Dhabi.
How does the recent market crash feed into your thinking? Because now you all of a sudden have to think about consumer protection. Some of these coins, 60, 70%, some of them have gone to zero in the recent market crash. So how does that feed into what you're thinking?
Well, we do not approve anything. I think that's the first thing, or the first line of defense that you need to have. And you need to understand how this technology is being developed, how these assets or currencies are tokenized, and how are they being marketed to the people. So does it have any asset base? Is it being properly developed? And that's why Abu Dhabi being stringent is putting Abu Dhabi at a reputation that everybody wants to be licensed by Abu Dhabi Global Markets. And now they can also be licensed onshore through the Security Commodity Authority. And I just want to say something else. Now, Dubai, for example, they have the Virtual Asset Regulatory Unit that also works hand in hand with the Security Commodity Authority. So there is that overhanging regulator, plus the international financial free zones also available, playing a big role in developing that ecosystem.
Do you think regulators like yourself need to take closer looks at specific coins? Because I was asking, Brett there about, exchanges need to do more due diligence to some extent on the coins they're listing. Should that be the regulator's job as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think the regulator is there to protect the investors. And we need to do the proper due diligence to find out if these are real assets that are being traded or no. And I think this is a core business for the regulator. And that's why the regulators need to be stringent as well. You cannot just keep it as open-ended. Some regulators, they have that open-ended mentality just to attract and get the business. But on the long term, I don't think that's the proper ecosystem to develop.
So is that something that's currently in place in Abu Dhabi or being developed further?
Yeah, and in Abu Dhabi Global Markets have really done a great job into that, having a very strong team and technologists that actually look into these diligently. And that's why we've been refusing a lot of exchanges and assets to be listed or domiciled within the Abu Dhabi Global Markets framework.
Let's talk about stable coins as well, because that, of course, is a very hot topic right now, but also something that global regulators have raised alarms about, given what we saw with the UST issues recently and the collapse of that and the shockwaves it sent effectively through the market as well. As a government, how are you thinking about stable coins? How are you thinking about regulating these stable coins?
Well, let's take two steps back first. I think looking at crypto in general, it's bound to happen, USTs, tokenizations, currencies, assets, all of that, it's gonna come. So we have to have an open mind that how we're gonna regulate it. Yes, markets go up and down. That's people, how exchanges work. And if markets or currencies don't go up and down, people don't make money or they actually lose money. So at the same time, we have to look at a different perspective of how to regulate these. If we cannot really regulate it, are they asset-based or they're not asset-based? Are they real or not real? Because you see a lot of Ponzi schemes within this industry now, and that's why you have to be very stringent at the beginning.
So let's take an example, right? You got USDT. Now, they, of course, release a report. USDC as well also release a report saying that we've had our auditing done. These are the assets they hold. But yet, there's still need or there's still a lot of calls for greater transparency. There's concerns over, well, exactly who is regulating or auditing these companies. What exact assets are they holding? Yes, it's a commercial bond of some sort. But who's from what country, what company, what's the rating? So, as you look at these coins, particularly USDT, USDC, do you think there should be greater transparency on what they're claiming to be in their reserves?
Absolutely. You have to find out what's the asset base of those currencies coming from.
So how do you go about that then?
Well, you have to just do a proper due diligence, dig deep into the numbers and the details of those assets. Because at the end of the day, what are you trying to do? You're trying to protect the investors. And if an exchange or a regulator cannot protect the interests of the investors, why the regulator is there. And that's why you have to be, sometimes you'll make people angry, but again, it is for the interest of that ecosystem that we want to develop in Abu Dhabi.
So would you go so far as to say, well, look, we have to audit it. The regulators have to audit it, not your third-party auditors that you have. We have to have a look. Is that something you're considering?
Yeah, that is something that we are doing and considering to do furthermore, because you could outsource these to third parties that you could approve. But again, you need to have the right people. Obviously, the regulator doesn't have all the aspects of regulating these currencies or assets.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to depend on third parties. But those third parties have to be vetted, have to be approved by the regulator so that you can move faster and get all these due diligence in place.
Let's switch topic and talk a little bit about central bank digital currencies as well. Again, it's another topic many central banks around the world are looking at. How's the UAE thinking about it at this point?
Well, that's why when we, as United Arab Emirates concerned, we've divided the crypto into two. The central bank is actually regulating the cryptocurrencies. And we are going to issue a new regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies in the next couple of months. And we've been working hand in hand with a lot of different regulators as well that have pioneered United Arab Emirates within the cryptocurrency. But we're also working with our international financial free zones, because they've been there for the last 7 years and 6 years introducing and regulating cryptocurrencies. So we believe it is an important sector that needs to be regulated, and it is going to add to the GDP of the United Arab Emirates as well.
In terms of a central bank issued digital dirham, something like that, is that in the discussions at this point? Is there a time frame for that?
Well, a time frame not yet, but I think it was public as well that United Arab Emirates is looking at issuing a cryptocurrency in dirhams, our local currency. But it is something that needs to be done, because we believe it's the next thing that's coming, and you need also to regulate that even more harder than the crypto assets.
What are some of the benefits then of such a currency?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think putting Abu Dhabi and United Arab Emirates specifically on the market, and I think it's going to attract more developers and more exchanges to come to this part of the world to make use of this currency. And as you know, with United Arab Emirates, recently our GDP have increased by about 6% in 2021. And then I think this also gives it a different flavor, that United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi and Dubai are playing a big role within the cryptocurrency and crypto asset space.
You've probably been watching with great interest what's happening in El Salvador, just as an experiment, I guess. The fact that they introduced Bitcoin as legal tender. Do you think that's something that the UAE would ever consider doing, or is that just one step too far?
I think it's one step too far. I think we need to get the regulation right first. You cannot just go into uncharted waters without having the right framework in place. And not only the framework, but you need to have the right players as well in place. So I think having the regulation first, get the right stakeholders with you as well is very important to push that sector into a different level where it is now.
But do you think it makes sense to have in the UAE something like Bitcoin running alongside a digital dirham or even just the fiat?
Well, I think this is more of a sovereign issue, but it's something that we don't close the door on. So we're always looking at opportunities that would help United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi. And definitely that's an area that we'll be very happy to look at and continue looking at the development that's happening very quickly.
What about NFTs then as well, Mohamed? Because this is something that, again, it's a market that very clearly went into a bubble very quickly. These digital collectibles going for millions and millions of dollars. The prices have come down dramatically as well. But is NFTs a market that you feel has a future, or is this just sort of a fad?
Well, from a regulator point of view, it's a product. Products come and go. And NFT has been booming for some time. And as you said, it just went away. People made money, people lost money. Yeah. But again, that's market. You have to do your proper due diligence. Again, supply and demand. Regulation is there. But again, it is how much people are demanding these assets. How you regulate it is a completely different ball game. But I think it is something that will continue, but to stabilize rather than what we've seen in the last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. Have you bought the NFTs under the regulatory purview? Did you need to do something different?
Well, we started doing that, and I think we're looking at completely a different framework for NFTs.
Okay.
Abu Dhabi and United Arab Emirates and Dubai, to be honest with you, have been very strong into that area. Yeah. People made money there. People lost money, as I said. But we need to have the right framework. We're looking at it very seriously, to be honest.
You've managed to attract a lot of quite high-profile businesses to Abu Dhabi, to the UAE more broadly as well when it comes to the crypto industry as well. So as you look over the next kind of year or two, are there other companies you're speaking to at the moment to bring over?
Well, what you said tells you a lot about UAE and Abu Dhabi. Why are they coming to this regulatory framework? It's because the regulation is actually important for them, important for their customers and investors. And yes, we are actually talking to a lot of other companies, and a lot of those companies are actually coming and saying to us, we want to be with you now. And we tell them, listen, this is your playbook, this is what you need to work on, and we handhold them till the end of licensing their exchanges or their assets.
Sorry, go ahead.
And this is, I think, very important as well from a regulator, that you need to move with them every step that they take so that they have the right framework in place.
Are you able to give me some names?
Well, publicly, as you know, Binance is there, FTX is coming, Coinbase, Kraken has been announced, and there are more coming as well. But these are the big ones. You need to have a lot of other players that those exchanges need, and those that what we are concentrating on now.
What do you think are some of the issues with other major regulators around the world right now? Because we've seen, in the US, in the UK, in parts of Europe as well, they're talking about regulation, but there's not much action, nor is there much concrete framework being put forward. Why is that?
I think it's the will. I think the will and how agile and quick you can be in developing that regulations. Crypto is very fast. Things are changing day by day. And that's why you have to be very fast in putting the right framework and being able to adapt to the changes and have the regulation ready for those changes as well. And that's, I think, where we as United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi are bringing this to the table to the crypto space.
So what's the focus now for Abu Dhabi and the UAE the next 1-2 years? What are your top priorities?
Well, I think, again, innovation and knowledge economy is always on the top of our list. I think Abu Dhabi specifically have had a 4.5% GDP growth, even with the oil prices at the beginning of 2021. With the current oil prices also, I think this year will be a great year for us, but our leadership is trying to reduce the dependency on oil from our GDP. So we want to increase our non-oil GDP more than 60%. Now we are above 50% in the non-oil GDP. And I think more of investing and developing new economies like the agriculture technology, financial technologies as well. And obviously one of the most important sectors to us is attracting more investors and talents to this part of the world.
Great. It was wonderful catching up with you again after so long. Thank you so much for your insight into the views from the government, from regulators, and clearly, as you mentioned, very fast moving. So we'll keep an eye on what goes on next. A round of applause for our wonderful guest, His Excellency Mohamed Ali Al Shorafa.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.